your brain a little bit more about these murals, to be honest. That's the most fascinating thing to me. Like, where did this come from? The idea of finding secret coordinates in murals. This is pretty cool, I have to admit.
That's a tough one. I remember we were in a writers' meeting at a really nice, posh cafe with good sandwiches, and I think everybody at that time had all these different ideas about the world, but it was a world that was disconnected. It was just gangs and fighting, and there was no hope.
I remember that cafe.
Yeah, and there's the artist Banksy, who's a bit of a revolutionary, and I think at that time, some of his work had even shown up in the Middle East and Lebanon and some really troubled places. And it wasn't necessarily him who was, doing it, but people were emulating or using graffiti to carry these messages of hope. And when we look at graffiti and tagging and gangs, what we typically see is maybe something a little bit artistic, but a little bit dangerous, a little bit.
Well, actually, tagging has become like the spokes language of a lot of artists, modern artists, and it's become in the 90s where it was officially associated with gangs. It's become associated with street art, with
transforming.
Culture,
yeah. So as graffiti's transformed from a sign of punk rebellion into a sign of hope, I was like, well, that's really blood lungs, because we got punks, we got pollution punk on one side, but we also have this idea of building a better world of hope. So these murals had to be something amazing and something spontaneous. So, there's really this like secret gang that's putting these murals together that we're going to learn about eventually. But the murals don't just exist in like a color palette that's like cool, but they actually glow. They're almost like they're filled with this paint that just is fluorescent in nature, so that it shines through the smog. One of the few sources of light in that kind of world where things have fallen apart.